We're going to talk about what Forbes has to say about Ripple and XRP inside Ripple's $180 billion reboot. On Bloomberg, Stephen McClurg from Canary Capital talks about Spot XRP ETFs. You can watch that clip here. Now I'm going to give you what I think is the most up-to-date schedule for all of this. Another piece of news that has to do with XRP is new information about what the European Central Bank is doing with the digital euro. A business has a link to Ripple and XRP that I was able to find. Of course, I'll show you that information. But let's begin this way. So glad you're with me, ladies and gentlemen. Readers may remember a story from March 24th about dead blockchains. That's what we called a $50 billion cryptocurrency project that was mostly supported by fantasy rather than real use. Ripple is at the top of that list with its XRP token and a single goal of replacing the global bank messaging service SWIFT. It has a market value of $36 billion and only $583,000 in yearly fees. But Ripple has been on a tear lately in private markets. The price of a company share is now between $136 and $177, which is about 2 to 3 times higher than it was at the beginning of the year and gives the company a value of between $22 and $30 billion. It's almost the same as Circle, the stablecoin issuer that Ripple wants to compete with and was linked to or tried to buy before its IPO in June. Circle is worth about $34 billion. Since June 5th, Circle stock has gone up 350%. IPO Ripple's token XRP, which doesn't give you any stock in the company, is up 366% year over year and has a market value of almost $150 billion. Ripple is now a part of a huge trend in digital assets being used as cash. In the past few weeks, a number of companies have revealed treasury plans based on XRP. The most notable of these is Evernorth, which wants to raise more than $1 billion. It shows a lot of trust that businesses would even think about keeping a token made by a company that has had a hard time making sales for a long time. I do want to say that most of the crypto market is way too low and there aren't many reasons to use it. A lot of people have tokens and tens of thousands of real companies are working on building technology, but there are only a few use cases that will really count. A good deal of this stuff will not work. It wasn't clear what crypto was or how it worked, so banking institutions in the US didn't take it very seriously up until this point. That has changed since Trump took office and made it clear that he wants to make the US the crypto capital of the world. And now everyone is saying, oh my gosh, we need to really use this technology. To really be able to fight on a large scale, we'll need to move our old systems and infrastructure into the new digital world order. It's not really a surprise, since Ripple's 5-year court case with the Securities and Exchange Commission is over. It was claimed that Ripple sold XRP as an unregistered investment, and the SEC sued the company in 2020. Ripple had to pay a $125 million fine and a string of high-profile purchases because of the resolution. These included G Treasury for $1 billion, Hidden Road for $1.5 billion, and Prime Broker Rail Stablecoin Company for $200 million in 2032 and 2042. Custodians. Medico was bought by Ripple for $250 million, and Standard Custody was bought for an unknown number. The XRP ledger may still not be as famous as other blockchains when it comes to app use or developer activity. However, it is clear that Ripple as a company is very different from what it was a few years ago. Change is seen as bad by some people. Joe Najjar, or Nagar, CEO and CIO of crypto hedge fund Feynman Point Asset Management and an investor in Ripple, says, "I think that's actually a sign of health and greatness, especially in new technology." He also says that Ripple is being careful with the capital stack in a way that they weren't able to fully show before because of too many rules. I believe it's a great example of what can happen when laws and rules aren't very strict, and the care they show sets them apart from other methods with big treasuries. Those who have roots but aren't really leaders and don't know who they have to serve. Brad Garlinghouse knows the answer without a doubt. His owners are there. Nagar believes that Coinbase is a better alternative to Circle or another Bitcoin right now. It's possible that Coinbase, which runs custody and prime brokerage businesses, is the real rival, not Circle, and splits the money made with Circle a lot more. Austin King, CEO of the crypto trading firm Nomina, sold his first business to Ripple in 2019. A lot of people in the Bitcoin world talk about Ripple, but the truth is that it has a lot of insight. Their tech has been around for more than 10 years. I think their next move is to combine all of these different businesses into one big financial services company so that they can work together better. So the next big question for Ripple is whether it can combine its new systems into one that makes its main technology, the XRP ledger, more valuable. There was also Brad Garlinghouse who said that everything Ripple does is based on XRP, the token, and its community. Okay, let's change things up now. Let me know what you think about spot ETFs. Stephen McClurg, let's get started. The first question is pretty clear. How did you get these ETFs through when the SEC and the government were both shut down? Thanks for having me, Scarlett. In September, the SEC accepted the general listing standards for cryptocurrencies. This made it possible for us to do what we're doing now. There is a futures market for cryptocurrencies in the US that has been open for more than 6 months thanks to those general listing guidelines. This means that exchanges can now list any cryptocurrency. Due to that rule, we were able to file these ETFs without any delays. Okay, so let me give you some more information to help you see that XRP ETF approvals are getting close to a big milestone in the US with a number of important files and updates moving forward quickly. S1 amendments for spot XRP ETFs were recently made by 7 asset managers. At least one issuer, Canary Funds, has set November 13th as a possible launch date, pending final NASDAQ approval of its A8 filing. Let's say you see news about an A8 filing. That means we're there, ladies and gents, and it's about to happen. These changes happen at the same time that the SEC's new listing framework and crypto ETFs get past legal hurdles. So this is where spot ETF applications stand right now. Big companies like Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, 21 Shares, Wisdom Tree, Grayscale, Canary Capital, and CoinShares have at least 7 S1 filings and revisions that are being looked at by the SEC right now. Canary Funds and other issuers recently took out the delaying amendment from their S1 filings. This means that 20 days after the recent filings, the registration statements will go into effect immediately. I found this interesting. I thought they were going to time this to happen after Swell. Once I began to understand it, I saw that Litecoin and HBAR were going first. I thought to myself, maybe this is a smart move to get all of those Swell announcements out there first and then launch for institutional. This would give us more chances to buy XRP at a lower price if we think these ETFs will obviously bring a higher price. The last thing that needs to happen for shares to start trading is for NASDAQ to approve the A8 to A paperwork. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see news about that, it's on like Donkey Kong, okay? Mr. Man says, you know, the wave's coming. Ripple works with Zero Hash and MasterCard as a partner. Ripple works with Revolt and Zero Hash to make the RLUSD stablecoin more accessible. It's early February 2025,